Today I am bringing you 6 wide receivers that you need to know for the 2024 Dynasty rookie class. Go ahead and do me a favor, drop a like to show some love. I mean, we're already talking 2024. I'm diving as deep as I can for you. Subscribe if you like Dynasty content, and I want you to comment down below. Just before I even get into the video, give me your top 5, okay? If you know the class, great. Comment down below right now your top 5. If you don't, then this is a good video for you to be watching regardless. But hey, do you want some rankings from myself, Badaki, from all your favorite content creators, great articles, a great community, and more? Then go ahead and use our code LAND, L-A-N-D, at flockfantasy.com/land. You're going to get a lot more 2024 Dynasty content on there upcoming as well. And by the way, 2-day free trial. And if you decide that it's worth it, you get 30% off your membership with our code. Okay, so I just want to clarify, I think context is always important. Talking about a class that, you know, we are 10 months out from drafting or 11 months out from drafting. It's almost goes without saying, but I feel like you have to say it, that these rankings are fluid. Players will go up, players will go down. So I'll give you my top 6. I'll go from 6 to 1. So we'll start off with an honorable mention, or 6, right? And that's the kid out of Oregon. His name is Troy Franklin. I say he's a kid, but he would be towering over me personally. I mean, I'm 5'9", right? He's 6'3", 180 pounds. So he's a really lanky guy. I mean, if you put on Troy's film, you'll automatically see just the huge strides that it looks like he's taking. That's because he's 6'3", 180. Big body, but really lanky, skinny type of body as well. So he is a good prototype for the NFL when it comes to his size. A lot of questions this year with smaller wide receivers in the class, smaller players in general in the 23 class, where we were asking what could they do in the NFL. Most of the players in this year's class were, at least me, myself, I'm very happy with the size that they're bringing in. But Troy Franklin was the second highest recruit out of California, out of the 2021 high school recruiting class. He was the 3rd highest recruit in the nation for the wide receiver position. And his freshman season wasn't, you know, much to speak of, but as a sophomore, he took huge strides. And I think a lot of that had to do with the transfer of Bo Nix. He and Bo Nix became best friends on the field, showed consistent hands, really good ball tracking skills. Something that I was actually surprised about with him being 6'3", 180. Seems like this lanky, kind of clumsy guy if you don't watch him on film, but you put him on film after the catch, he's surprisingly very efficient, very effective rather, after the catch. Always was getting more than what I thought he would, you know, on the screens, slant games, and turned a lot of those into, you know, big plays, which I did not expect from him. So the talent is there. He's got a good quarterback in Bo Nix, and he could absolutely blow up in 2024. He could be one of these like early 2nd round wide receivers that we're talking about. The next 5 receivers, I could all see them going in the 1st round. I'm a little bit more hesitant than the average person with my number 5. Most people will have this guy higher, but at the moment, number 5 for me is Xavier Worthy, the wide receiver out of Texas. He is a 4-star recruit, really explosive athlete. I mean, you put on the film, you'll instantly notice he's quick. He can beat almost anyone downfield, real deep downfield threat. He will be sought after in the NFL, no doubt. But we have to talk about the drop issues. He had a lot of drop issues in 2022. I would say it was a disappointing season compared to what we saw from him in his freshman year. I think he needs a big 2023 to be considered a 1st round pick. And a lot of the reason is because he's the only guy in my top 6 that I'm really concerned about with the size in particular. At the moment, he's noted at 6'1", 163 pounds. And I understand that the NFL, it's getting more and more friendly for these players who don't have big bodies, but I can't think of a single wide receiver off the top of my head who's been dominant at 160 or so pounds. Let me know in the comments below if I'm misreading it, but I hear a lot of people comparing him to Devonta Smith. I don't think he has that ceiling. I think his ceiling at best, we're looking more like a Hollywood Brown player, which is a very good player in fantasy at times and a very good player for a franchise. Can stretch the field if need be. At times can be the number 1 if your number 1 is, you know, suspended or is out with injury. So I'm just a little bit concerned about how the size will translate in the NFL. At 6'1", 130, 163, he'll be a good slot receiver, but unless he puts, big weight on that body, how is he going to compete against these 200 pounds cornerbacks in the NFL who are going to be playing a lot of press coverage up on him? So I think there could be some serious limitations as far as what he can do at the next level. I'm a little bit worried that he's going to be a better collegiate player than he is a professional player. But again, it's just one man's personal opinion, and we're still quite some time out from the 2024 NFL draft. So he can prove me wrong and, prove a lot of people wrong, I'm sure. But at the moment, I struggle to see an NFL team spending a first round pick on him. I could be wrong. At number 4, a player that I really loved, and I thought he was going to come out this year and be a part of the 2023 class. That is Rome Odunze out of Washington. Boute's fall from grace definitely hurt the 23 class, but I would also say that Rome Odunze returning to college also hurt the 2023 class and its depth, right? Guys like Blake Corum coming back, Rome Odunze coming back, Boute not being who we thought he could be. But Rome Odunze was a big part of the 23 class not being as good as we thought it could be. I think Rome would have been easily an early second, maybe late first pick, probably early second in the 23 class. He's that good. He's a 4-star recruit out of high school. Love the size, 6'3", 200 pounds. And he had a huge year in 2023, put up over 1,100 receiving yards, 75 receptions, and 7 touchdowns. Odunze is one of those wide receivers where when you see it, the eye test is all green checks. Oh my gosh, this guy is fun to watch on film. You just open up the film, you watch it, and you say, okay, this guy's a little bit different. He's a little bit different than some of the others, specifically with his route running. Knows how to manipulate coverages. Does a great job of getting himself open off the line of scrimmage. And I would highly encourage anyone who wants to see him doing that, go watch his game versus Washington State last year. You'll see him put on an absolute show. He and Michael Penix Jr. should have a great year. They should be putting Washington into the top 10. They'll be in conversations for college football playoffs if everything goes right. And they both, if everything goes right, Penix and Rome Odunze could be potential late first round picks. They're both that talented. So I'm a big fan of Rome Odunze. And the thing I really love about this 2024 class outside of Xavier is that all of the wide receivers that I love have the size. You don't have to question, okay, what could this wide receiver be at the next level? What limitations do they have? And again, another player that I feel fits that bill, that there's no concern with his size, is Malik Neighbors, my number 3 rated wide receiver in the class. He is 6'1", 188 pounds, which is perfect for the modern day NFL. Again, all these wide receivers in the top 4, you don't have to ask, okay, what role will they have? Will they be limited? Will they only be a slot? Will they only be, the secondary player? All the guys in the top 4 can be the number 1 on a team. There's no limitations for their size, at least. But Malik Neighbors, former 4-star recruit. A lot of people in the Dynasty space would know Malik Neighbors because you tracked Kayshon Boutte last year. This was Kayshon's teammate last year, and all the hype was around Boutte. But at some point, we all should have realized, and I only realized by putting on the film, that, okay, actually, Malik Neighbors is just the better prospect here. It's not the quarterback play that's really the entire issue. It's just Malik Neighbors is the better prospect in almost every area. But Boutte was supposed to be the star. He wasn't. We made a lot of excuses for him. Malik Neighbors was a star. He was the one that was showing up week in, week out and putting up big numbers. He is an X-factor yak wide receiver. Get the ball to him in space. Let him work after the catch. And he's also got really good body control. Throw the ball somewhere in his vicinity. You'll see a lot of plays on him, with him on the sideline, making these catches over his head, adjusting his body to get his hands where they need to be to make the catch. I think that absolutely will translate at the next level. Good separator, similar to Rome Odunze, can manipulate coverages very well. And he had a really good season with Jaden McDaniels, I believe it is, over there at LSU, put up 72 receptions, over 1,000 yards and 3 touchdowns. That combo is coming back this year. Jaden Daniels, is it Jaden Daniels or McDaniels? I don't know, but whatever. Jaden is coming back. Malik is coming back. Those guys together were on a tear to end the year. I think we could see Malik Neighbors in the conversation for Blitnikoff Award winner. I'm not saying he will win it because there's a clear better wide receiver in this class, but those are the type of numbers he could put up. I would not be surprised at all if Malik puts up like 1,300 yards and 8 touchdowns or something here in 2023. So be on the lookout for Malik Neighbors. I don't want to disrespect him anymore myself, and neither should we. We should have high expectations for him. I think he's a lock for a first round pick, if he is who I think he is. Okay, and then the top 2, both Ohio State boys, seems to be wide receiver U as of late. Number 2, Emeka Egbuka, who is not getting the respect that he deserves. Unquestionably is not getting the respect. If you ask anyone about Ohio State right now, all they'll talk about is Marvin Harrison Jr. And I understand because he's incredible. We'll talk about him in a second. But Emeka Egbuka is no just second-class citizen. He's no scrub. He could be a superstar in his own right. I mean, Ohio State is just pumping out these types of receivers. But he was a 5-star recruit out of high school. He has the pedigree, the number 1 wide receiver recruit in all of the 2021 high school class. And last year in 2022, with Marvin Harrison Jr. dominating, Emeka Egbuka put up 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns. He is a smooth route runner, consistent separator, very good catch radius, and of any wide receiver I've talked about, actually, I might say of any wide receiver in this class, maybe that's too bold of a claim, that he is the best after the catch. He is the best yak receiver in the class at this moment, in my personal opinion. Reliable hands. He has size to play everywhere at 6'1", 205. And when I look at wide receivers who he could model his game after and comparisons in the NFL, the names that come to mind for me will be Michael Crabtree, Juju Smith-Schuster, and Chris Godwin. And some of those names might not sound sexy, but you got to hear where I'm coming from. Think of what Juju Smith was his first 2 years in the NFL. He was a yak monster with Big Ben before Big Ben had that injury to his arm. But Juju was an elite wide receiver too when Antonio Brown was there and Big Ben was healthy. That's what we could see with Emeka Egbuka his first couple years in the NFL. Or how about Chris Godwin during his breakout seasons? We could see that for Emeka Egbuka. Very similar strengths and weaknesses. And then Michael Crabtree, a lot of hate because of the whole Richard Sherman thing, but Crabtree was a really good, reliable receiver. At times, number 1. I remember in Las Vegas with Derek Carr, he beat out Amari Cooper that one year to be the number 1 wide receiver for the team. So these are good wide receivers that he's comparing to. I like the size. I like that he is just all around a very good, solid wide receiver. And I could see him being very successful at the next level. And I would say he's the lock for a top 20 pick in the draft. That's just my personal opinion. By the way, if I look weird or sound weird, I'm fighting the flu right now. So trying to get through the flu, this sickness, my nose has been blowing my nose it's not good. So I'm sorry if I sound weird. Okay, and the number 1 in the class, most of you guys know this by now, but if you don't, it goes without saying. Marvin Harrison Jr. is the number 1 wide receiver prospect in the class. He's not only the number 1 prospect in the class from the wide receiver position, he might be the second best player in this class. He might go number 2 overall. He might go number 3 overall after Caleb Williams, Drake May. Like, he is that good of an offensive prospect. It would not surprise me. Son of the Colts legend, Marvin Harrison. Yes, it is his son. Marvin Harrison Jr. And I don't think it's crazy to say that this is the best wide receiver prospect we've seen since Jamar Chase. No, I'm not saying that Marvin Harrison, his comp is Jamar Chase, because I think that would be inaccurate. But I think that as far as caliber wise, this is the best caliber wide receiver prospect we've seen since Chase came out of LSU. Extremely advanced route runner, very good route runner. Looks like a veteran almost. I mean, this guy looks like a 5-year NFL vet at the collegiate level. Ridiculous body control, like consistently making these circus catches or coming back to the ball in ridiculous ways, or just finding a way to make a catch where it seems like it shouldn't be one. One of the best contested catchers in the nation. Now, I would say one thing that his profile has a little question mark for me in would be the explosiveness. I'm not saying he's not explosive, but when you look at guys like Jamar Chase coming out, I don't think he has that sort of explosiveness. He's just in every other area elite, it feels like, in my opinion. But that's not to say that he's not explosive at all. It's just I don't think he's an elite explosive player in that one small specific category, okay? But if you look at Marvin Harrison Jr. in 2022 amongst wide receivers, he was 6th in receiving yards, 4th in receiving touchdowns with 14. He had the 7th best yards per route run, only dropped the ball less than 4% of the time, and he had the 3rd graded PFF route grade. And you have to keep in mind, he did that in a season where, you know, also Emeka Egbuka went off. So if this was the only viable wide receiver at Ohio State, which never happens, he probably has even better numbers. It's my opinion that he should have been the Blitnikoff winner. I mean, no disrespect. You guys know probably, if you've been on this channel for more than 6 months, how I feel about Jalen Hyatt. I just don't think he's worthy of the Blitnikoff. It should have been Marvin Harrison Jr. But something that I also love about his game is that he's got versatility. Now, he didn't play in the slot because they didn't require that of him, but he played about 14% in the slot, 86% out wide. But you know, watching his game, that he can play anywhere on the field for an NFL team. And if you're looking for a pro comp, it's tough to really settle on a comp right now. It's very, very early. But I would say combine his father's skill set. He's a bigger receiver than his father, with like Larry Fitzgerald, AJ Green, somewhere in that category. He is a special generational talent. He will go top 5. And I think he'll do for a franchise what Julio did when Julio went top 5 to the Falcons. So someone is getting a generational wide receiver that will absolutely help them turn their franchise around. And someone, whoever that quarterback is in fantasy and Dynasty, is going to be much more valuable after that pick is made. So, hey, that's my top 5, 6 with an honorable mention. Do me a favor, drop a like to show some love. Subscribe if you like Dynasty content. Comment down below any of your thoughts, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Let me know if you want me to do the running back version. Maybe I'll do that next week. Now that those idiots are done talking, who needs some rankings?
Hell yeah, I need some rankings.
Then use promo code LAND, L-A-N-D, for 30% off any membership at flockfantasy.com.
Oh.
It's so easy, even your grandma could scan that QR code right there.